Hello, thanks for looking in on my videos. Today's case is quite a famous one. It's the case of Adolf Beck, who he was a Norwegian who was born in Norway in 1841. He initially trained as a chemist, but he went off to sea and travelled the world. Came to England in 1865. He worked as a clerk for a shipping broker. Then in 1868, he moved to South Africa, where he made a living as a while for a singer. He became a shipbroker. He became involved in buying, selling houses. Eventually, he came back to England in 1885, got involved in various financial schemes. He invested in a mine in Norway, sunk a lot of money, but the mine failed and it started losing money, and he kept throwing money in, and he got into real financial trouble, really. So in 1895, he was arrested for fraud, and his case appeared at 1896. He appeared at the Old Bailey in 1896 and was witnessed by 12 victims that said it's him, that had taken their jewellery and that swindled them out of their money and jewellery, and that committed fraud against them. And there was also police evidence and a handwriting expert, all lined up to give him evidence against him, and he was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. But it wasn't him. He'd been wrongfully convicted. And so wrongful convictions had occasionally occurred, but in British law at the time, you couldn't be wrongfully convicted. It was not the thing. The British law was always right. The courts were always right. There was no way you could be wrongfully convicted. But he was. And it happened that a leading figure in the Daily Mail had seen him give a talk about his time abroad, and knew that at the time of the offence that he'd been in Peru, because he'd heard him talk about it. And the Daily Mail looked into the case. But meanwhile, you see, solicitor kept making appeals to the Home Office, because that was the rule, and they just say, no, he's been found guilty, we don't agree with this, and he kept petitioning the Home Office. So the Daily Mail campaigned on his behalf, and they found evidence that he was in fact in Peru at the time of the offences, and that it couldn't be him. So he received a pardon, and he was released in 1901. But guess what happened? He was again accused of another fraud by some individuals and the police, and he was produced at the Old Bailey in 1904 and was again found guilty of a fraud that he didn't do. And the judge in the case had grave reservations, been in the media, the Daily Mail. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle campaigned on his behalf also. And there was a lot of outrage. And as it happened, a few days later, the actual perpetrator of the offence was found. His name was William Mayer, and he was arrested, and Adolf Beck was released and again given a pardon. Now, there was a big inquiry, a lot of outrage by this terrible miscarriage of justice, 2 miscarriages of justice, and the fact that he served 5 years hard labour in a prison, which was pretty grim, really, at Portland, and grossly unfair. So there was a big inquiry into it, and in 1907, the House of Parliament brought into effect the criminal appeal process. They invented the Court of Criminal Appeal, and that enabled people to make appeals against wrongful convictions. So that's the case of Adolf Beck. I hope you found it really interesting. Amazing story, and as we know, there have been quite a few really serious cases of miscarriages of justice ever since. So anyway, all the very best, and look forward to seeing you again. Cheers now. Bye-bye.